Hello, and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast for July 29th, 2024. This is episode 243. Stand-up comedian, actor, and improviser Paul Green with the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, the podcast by a dreamer for all you dreamers out there. So, let's bring you up to speed. So, yesterday, I had a show in Las Vegas, Nevada. Viva Las Vegas. I was really looking forward to the show, and the show is part of actually an open mic. They do an open mic there weekly, and then I think once a month, they do sort of a showcase comedy show, and I was invited to headline that show. I was really excited. I've done this same room. It's at this bar in Las Vegas. I've done it twice, and I had a good time both times. However, last night was not the case. It was really rough. Last night. Just a number of factors that played into that. By the time they brought me on stage, there had been maybe 4 comics before me. And it was just a situation where, whatever reason, when it was my turn to go up, half of the people who were actually there got up and left before I even said a word. And the remaining people were not really there to focus on the comedy show. And that just does not make for a very good environment to get up and start trying to do comedy material. So yeah, I didn't have a good time. It was really difficult for me to stick with my material because, again, almost nobody was listening. I tried to make eye contact. There were a couple of people who were kind of listening. Like, I would catch their eye sometimes, but then the other times they would be on their phone. There were people walking around. The comic before me went up and was talking to one of the people in the front row, literally right in front of me. And the person right in front of me was sort of paying attention, and then this comic went up and literally had a conversation with them right in front of me. And I was like, that is kind of rude, and I'm already struggling, and now, like, one of the few people who actually is trying to pay attention is now being interrupted to have a conversation. So, yeah, I was a little disappointed. No matter what the show is, no matter what the circumstance, I always try to show up and deliver the best show that I can, do the best material that I have available to me, bring the best energy, bring the best attitude, and sometimes all of that is not enough to overcome enough negative elements to a show to make it successful. So, so that's what happened. The woman who booked me is really, really cool. She actually sent me a text message and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You did so great. I'm so glad that you came out and stuff," which was really nice. I appreciated that. But yeah, I was a little bummed that I didn't get a chance to, go to Vegas and have a good show and feel good about it. But that's just part of the game. Is just doing as many shows as possible and just realizing that some shows are going to go better than others. And there's only so much in my control to make the show good. And I did my best, everybody. So anyway, I am heading back to Phoenix. And I actually don't have any shows lined up this week, which is a good opportunity for me to sort of take a step back. And man, I'm really trying to figure out what my next 20 minutes is going to look like. I made sure I got some writing done last night after my show. And yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm just having a little bit of it's not really writer's block because I am writing, but it's a matter of feeling confident that what I'm writing is actually what I want to try to present on stage. Which I don't know. There's always been, almost always, when I'll write something that I feel is something that I want to try, like I'll have a certain feeling about it. Like, oh, yeah, this is funny. I think I want to give this a try, see how it goes. That isn't really happening, which is weird. Like, I'm writing stuff, but then I look at it and I go like, yeah, like, I don't even really think this is funny. So, like, if I don't think it's funny coming out of my pen, then the probability that I'm going to be able to convince an audience that it's funny is just very minimal. I mean, there's enough stuff that I thought was funny that audiences didn't think was funny, unless this is that whole quasi world to where, you know, I've just arrived to a point to where everything I don't think is funny is actually what audiences like. My gosh, I hope I hope that's not the case. Who knows? Could be. But yeah, for now, the name of the game is just to keep the pen moving on paper. And yeah, and I mean, something's going to break here, you know. I mean, something's going to happen to where I'm going to find something that I feel strongly about to where I can go, okay, I think I've found my next little thing here to start workshopping. But in the meantime, even though last night didn't go well, I still feel really strongly about the material that I have. I'm still working on some of the subtleties of that. There are still some nuance, some elements of that material that I'm still working on. Like, I don't think it's perfected yet, but it's in a good spot. But I do feel very strongly that I need to start getting more material. So let's see. Other than that, the Midlife Crisis comedy show is moving right along. We've got 3 very big shows next week, and we are just trying to sell tickets. That is the name of the game for that show, and I'm very excited to continue to build that brand. And we are going to be building a tour for that show, just self-producing it, starting to pin down dates and venues and locations to showcase the Midlife Crisis comedy show. And we'll see how that all ends up going, and if we can really start to build some traction and build a following around that brand. So, not much more of an update today. Wish I had better news for you. Better news about the show last night, but hey, that is the reality of what went down. So, with that, we will now turn to the next portion of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast, where I have been breaking down chapter by chapter the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And, oh man, today's law, it's just so despicable to me. And that's sort of my problem with this book is these laws of power are really just very cynical and just morally bankrupt to me. They really just do stem from a like base animal survival of the fittest instinct with absolutely no care or consideration for individuals, loyalty, friendship, meaning, fulfillment. It really is just, if your entire existence is a lust for power, a lust for money and power in the most brutal and superficial sense, yeah, then by all means, I think that these laws will serve you well. I think if you have any desire to build a life perhaps based around meaning and depth and long-term relationships that are maybe more altruistic, maybe based off of higher principles than nearly treating every human being who you interact with as a mere pawn or victim in your scheme to acquire power and influence. I think, if anything, these laws would actually very quickly and decidedly destroy pretty much any relationship of meaning that you could possibly have with anybody. But the book makes no apologies for that. So, more power to you. Literally, more power to you. So, today's law is keep your hands clean. And really how the book demonstrates this principle is by telling you to have a scapegoat. Meaning, in your rise to power, you're going to do something despicable, and what you need to do is have a fall guy or have a patsy to kind of throw them under the bus so that your hands stay clean, they take the fall, and then you get to appear as the benevolent leader who gets all the power and all the benefits, and then whoever you threw under the bus, you just completely ruin and destroy their lives, even if they're innocent. Yay! What a fun idea. The first example the book gives is some, like, Chinese emperor, like thousands of years ago, who had made some decisions that, like, led to a famine or something. I don't remember the details. And, all of his people were beginning to suspect that he had, like, hoarded all of the food or something like that. And so he just calls in some buddy of his, some higher up in the dynasty, and just said, hey, by the way, I'm going to have you beheaded, and I'm just going to blame this whole famine on you and then have you beheaded. That way my hands stay clean, but don't worry, I'll look after your family. And then he just had the guy beheaded, even though he was innocent. And evidently this is a law by which you are supposed to live your life. And, I guess if that's if you have no qualms with being a completely morally bankrupt person, and again, power is your highest value and virtue, then that sounds like a great idea. I'm a big fan of just taking ownership and saying, oh, you want to know what? I totally messed this up. That's on me, and this is what I'm going to do to fix it. That's how I try to live my life. Not saying I've been perfect at it, but yeah, if I made a mistake, I go, yep, that one's on me. But hey, I guess it just depends on what type of person you're trying to be and how important power is to you and at what expense and at whose expense you're willing to spend to get that power. But yeah, not a fan. I am not a fan of that at all. And, if that's how you choose to operate your life, just please let me know so I could make sure I have nothing to do with you. But then again, if you're doing these laws of power, I wouldn't really know that that's what you're doing because you would have used all of these other laws of power to manipulate me into, trusting you, and then you would screw me over anyway. So, yay! What a fun way to live life. So anyway, that is the law of power for today. All right. I'm going to cut today's a little short. Not much on the update side, and, not much more not much more to discuss regarding today's law of power. So I will go ahead and wrap it up there for today. I hope all of you are doing awesome. I hope that none of you have to end up being the fall guy for a power-hungry, social climber or, whatever. Whoever's out there trying to use these laws of power, I hope you do not fall victim to one of those people. And I hope that you're not one of them either. But, there you go. So, let's go out there and keep following our dreams, trying to do right by the people in our lives, and following our dreams, maybe with just a little bit of integrity, a little bit of personal ownership, and see if we can't gain the power that we need to be successful without having to manipulate or make victims of other people in the process. That, to me, sounds like a much better way to go. All right, everybody. This is episode 243 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast for July 29, 2024. I love you all so much. Hope your dreams are going well. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.